So Kwame Brown absolutely destroys LeBron James exactly for what I've been saying. No effort and also no defense.
Kwame Brown recently took aim at LeBron James on his podcast. There was no holding back and no attempt to make the criticisms sound nicer for the audience. Just a former NBA player openly criticizing the four-time MVP over issues that many basketball fans have been pointing out for years. The constant arguments with referees, the lack of energy late in games, the tendency to fade from the spotlight when the biggest moments arrive. Before we go any further, let us know in the comments. Do you think Kwame Brown was justified in being this harsh toward LeBron? Or was he being unfair to a player who continues to produce impressive stats? And how many members of the current Lakers roster do you think quietly share the same opinions that Kwame was willing to say publicly?
So Kwame Brown, after Game 3, goes on his podcast and completely destroys LeBron James for lack of effort, complaining to the referees, not going back on defense, which this is a tactic used by many players, and this has been used by LeBron James so many times. If he goes in for a basket, he thinks he gets fouled or he wants to make it look like he gets fouled. He then stays and complains to the referee, which in eyes of the fans gives him an excuse not to go back on defense. Because, oh, look, he got fouled, he's upset, that's why he's not back on defense. That's what casual fans will think, and that's what they will just take it as.
Kwame Brown deserves more recognition for being one of the few former NBA players willing to voice opinions that many around the league may be thinking but rarely say publicly. Through his own podcast, he operates independently, without having to answer to a franchise, without a television contract influencing what he can or cannot say. He also does not have to worry about maintaining close relationships with current NBA stars. That level of independence is important because much of the basketball media has avoided discussing this topic directly for years. Following Game 3 against the Thunder, Kwame decided not to stay quiet any longer. His argument was straightforward. According to Brown, LeBron James spent yet another playoff game focused on disputing calls with referees, leaving his teammates at a disadvantage on the defensive end and failing to make a significant impact when the game reached the fourth quarter.
A rough start, but an offensive rebound by Ayton. James will fake the three, get fouled, and put it up. Off the front iron, no. And Ed Malloy going to say it was before the shooting motion.
None of those criticisms are new. And for anyone who has closely followed these playoff runs over the past 10 years, there is nothing particularly surprising about them. What made this situation different was that Kwame Brown chose to put those observations on the record, breaking them down point by point and backing them up with specific examples for everyone to examine and judge for themselves.
Hartenstein, and he just lost the ball. Boy, McCain was wide open on the opposite side, and they're saying that was off the Laker.
The stat sheet from Game 3 seemed to support much of what Kwame was talking about. LeBron logged roughly 36 minutes and 51 seconds on the floor. He shot 7 for 19 overall, which comes out to 36.8% from the field. From beyond the arc, he went 3 for 9, while converting 3 of his 4 free throw attempts. He grabbed 6 rebounds in total, all of them defensive boards. Not a single offensive rebound was recorded. Looking at the game quarter by quarter made the performance appear even less impressive. He scored 4 points in the opening period, 6 more in the second quarter, then just 4 points in the third while shooting 1 for 4 from the field. In the final quarter, he added another 4 points on 2 of 3 shooting. This is the player with 4 MVP awards to his name. This is the superstar expected to take control in crucial moments. This is the player earning around $50 million per season. After 8 minutes of fourth quarter action, the production on the stat sheet looked surprisingly modest for someone of that stature.
You got almost 60 points that could happen in turnovers, but you blaming the damn referee. That's a shame. LeBron James got 2 rebounds, and he blaming the ref. That means you ain't get in there and do nothing. Y'all whole team plus minus was terrible. This is a horrible teammate. If every time you feel that you get fouled, you think leaving us 4 on 5 for you to sit there and cry to the referees is the right thing to do. I just think you wasting everybody's time. That's him trying to get rest. He already stand there when it's time to play defense. He's doing this, wiping shit. So if you got to do that and cry to the refs, how many possessions are they getting extra possessions because LeBron is doing this? You can't. What's the point of you having 16 points the first half and 1 or 2 points in the fourth quarter, 4 points in the fourth?
Kwame focused heavily on the salary figure, and in many ways, that may be the strongest point in this entire discussion. Set aside the legacy conversations for a moment. Ignore the GOAT debates. Put the all-time records and career accomplishments to the side. Look strictly at the reality of the situation today. LeBron James is earning roughly $50 million this season. When a player is paid that kind of money, the expectation is simple. They are supposed to take over when games are on the line. Players at that salary level are expected to deliver in the moments that ultimately decide wins and losses. A $50 million player is not expected to finish a crucial fourth quarter with only 4 points on 3 shot attempts while his team is trying to mount a comeback. That idea of being a closer was at the center of Kwame's criticism. He also highlighted the fact that Luka Doncic is unavailable due to injury in this series. With Luka sidelined, the responsibility for late-game offense naturally shifts elsewhere, leaving Austin Reaves as one of the primary options. Reaves has developed into a solid NBA player. He has carved out a legitimate role and proven his value. At the same time, he entered the league as a second-round pick and was viewed as an afterthought not that long ago. The Lakers are investing approximately $50 million per year in LeBron James precisely, so they are not forced to rely on Austin Reaves as their main closer in a second-round Western Conference playoff matchup. Yet during portions of Game 3, Reaves appeared to be the only Laker consistently creating productive offense in the closing stages. Meanwhile, LeBron remained limited to a modest scoring output in the fourth quarter as the team struggled to find answers around him.
The Lakers and what the Lakers got going on is 25-10 on free throws, and you got your ass whipped by what, 23, 25 points? So it ain't the referees. It's the coach. It's LeBron. It's the people on the team that's masquerading as leaders that's waiting to give up. I'm looking at the eyes and the body language of LeBron. And he's waiting for somebody else to take over the show. And then so he can be the hero at the end. I'm looking at the body language of JJ Redneck. He's looking for the players to save the day. He's not grabbing the bull by the horn. At least he played not Jake LaRabia. At least he played Luke Kennard for a second. But he still didn't give LeBron no rest. I'm watching defensive plays where LeBron will go down and hit a 3 on offense. Come down, switch off a guard onto Chet Holmgren, a big, and then run from Chet Holmgren to go double the ball, and then Chet Holmgren end up getting a lob.
Kwame then shifted his focus to a habit in LeBron's game that many fans have noticed for years: the ongoing discussions with referees after missed calls. The sequence tends to play out the same way time and time again. LeBron attacks the basket. He attempts a difficult finish or a contested shot near the rim. He believes contact should have resulted in a foul call. The whistle stays silent. Rather than immediately sprinting back on defense, he remains near the basket. His arms go up in frustration. His attention turns toward the referee. He shakes his head and continues voicing his disagreement. Meanwhile, play has already moved to the other end of the court. The opposing team is pushing the pace and attacking before the defense is fully set. The Lakers are left defending with one fewer player in position, and that missing defender happens to be the 4-time MVP. According to Kwame, this is not simply an emotional reaction to a missed whistle. He argued that it has become a deliberate pattern. In his view, LeBron attacks the rim, looks for contact, disputes the non-call, and uses the exchange with officials to buy a few extra moments of recovery. It may only be a few seconds at a time, but over the course of a game, those moments can add up. The public explanation is frustration over the officiating. Kwame's interpretation is different. He believes the reality is that a 41-year-old player can no longer maintain maximum intensity on every possession, so those conversations with officials effectively create brief opportunities to conserve energy. Fans watching at home often focus on the missed call itself. Many assume the complaint is fully justified and overlook what is happening on the other end of the floor. What they may not notice is the cumulative impact those delayed transitions can have on a team's defense throughout a game. Kwame suggested revisiting any Lakers playoff loss and paying attention to how often LeBron is among the last players to get back in transition. Then compare that with the number of easy scoring opportunities opponents create during those sequences. His argument is that the effect becomes difficult to ignore once you start tracking it consistently. He also pointed to another statistic that he feels has received very little attention during this postseason: offensive rebounding. LeBron stands 6'9" and weighs roughly between 250 and 260 pounds. With his size, strength, experience, and reach, many would expect him to remain a factor on the offensive glass. Throughout his playoff career, he has averaged around 1.5 offensive rebounds per game. Not a dominant number, but certainly a respectable one for a player of his physical profile. This postseason, however, that figure has dropped to approximately 0.4 offensive rebounds per game, less than one offensive rebound every 2 games. For Kwame, that decline reflects the same underlying issue behind the constant conversations with referees. He believes LeBron is carefully managing his energy expenditure and prioritizing where he uses it. Offensive rebounding demands repeated jumps, physical battles in the paint, second effort plays, and constant fighting for position. Those are often the first areas to decline when an aging player begins conserving energy over long stretches of a game. As a result, the offensive rebounding numbers decrease. Transition defense becomes less consistent. The complaints toward officials become more frequent. Late-game production becomes harder to sustain. In Kwame's view, these are not isolated issues, but different signs of the same reality. The body is no longer capable of doing everything it once could, forcing adjustments that become visible throughout the course of a game. He also pointed to the Lakers' team rebounding numbers this postseason. The team ranks near the bottom of the playoff field in offensive rebounds, sitting 13th overall. Several of the teams below them in that category have already been eliminated. Teams such as the Hawks, the Sixers, and the Nuggets are no longer playing. Yet the Lakers have managed to remain in the postseason despite struggling in one of basketball's most effort-driven statistical categories. The Lakers have struggled on the glass throughout the postseason, ranking near the bottom among playoff teams in both offensive and total rebounds. Kwame Brown argued that this reflects a larger issue, pointing to LeBron's limited offensive rebounding production despite his size and experience. Kwame also questioned why a 41-year-old superstar is logging nearly 37 minutes per game in a playoff series. He suggested that heavy minutes may be contributing to LeBron's late-game fatigue, declining fourth-quarter production, and frequent complaints to officials. Whether that is a coaching decision by J.J. Redick or something LeBron himself prefers remains open to debate. Another point Kwame raised was that current Lakers players likely cannot publicly criticize LeBron, even if they share some of the same concerns. Former players like Kwame have the freedom to speak openly because they are no longer dependent on NBA teams, media networks, or league relationships. According to Kwame, the concerns are not imaginary. The fourth-quarter struggles, the conversations with referees, the rebounding numbers, and the expectations attached to a $50 million salary are all visible issues that can be seen in the box score and on game film. The larger question is what the Lakers should do moving forward. With LeBron nearing the end of his contract, the franchise must decide whether to continue building around him or fully transition to a younger core led by Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. Kwame's position was clear: appreciate LeBron's contributions, but begin planning for the future rather than committing major resources to another season centered around a 41-year-old star. He also argued that LeBron's remarkable longevity comes with inevitable trade-offs. While the career totals continue to grow, certain aspects of his game have declined with age. At the same time, younger players such as Reeves could benefit from expanded responsibilities in late-game situations, while Doncic is widely viewed as the long-term centerpiece the Lakers should build around. For Kwame, the conclusion was simple: the Lakers face an important crossroads, and the decisions they make over the next year could shape the franchise for the next decade.